Today, let's break down the progressions towards the rope climb and the freestanding handstand push-up. Start with much easier progressions and slowly build up to those harder ones. Now, it's probably been 12 months since I've climbed a rope, so this is actually going to be really good for me. I just done that quick one then up and down, and I can really feel it on my hands. I've lost a little bit of conditioning, but I think it's a great exercise to do, so I'm happy now that I've got a rope for home. I'm going to do the pike push-ups to start with. So the easiest variation of the handstand push-up journey, I'm going to externally rotate the hands. I'm going to make a triangle between my head and my hands when I come down. I'm going to stand in this open leg down dog position. Now, taking the legs a little bit wider compared to this position just creates a bit more space, makes everything a bit happier. If you are tight in the hamstrings, you can bend the knees a bit. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the head and shoulders forwards, rounding the back into slight protracted position, elbows bend, head comes forwards. There's the triangle, touch, come back up, open the shoulders back up again. Now, if that's too hard, do the down movement like that, but go down to your knees, get up, back up, and just work those slow eccentrics until you've got the strength to come back up. And we're looking for around 5 repetitions, especially to start with, just to open up and get some blood into the shoulders, the triceps, the arms. If that is your 1 rep max, do some push-ups or some dips or something first, something a little bit easier. Now, when it comes to the rope climbs, a really good way to start is just in a squat position on the floor. I'm going to hold on to the rope, and then I'm just going to start to climb up the rope all the way to the top, reach up, and then come back down again, slow and controlled. Same again. Now, if that's easy, do exactly the same thing, but at the top, just pull yourself up, come back down again. And then all I would do is at the bottom is swap hands. So then when you get to the top, your opposite hand is going to be at the top to pull yourself up, back down again. 3 or 4 reps. Again, should be a nice warm-up. I'm going to wind up the pike push-up a little bit more. I'm going to start with feet up on a raised surface. External rotation of the hands again. Same start position. Again, you're going to have to find a happy place mobility-wise. Then I'm going to take the shoulders forwards, push up into that slight protracted position. Elbows in, head creates the triangle, push back open. Again, 3 to 5 repetitions. And that tells you if you can do that while holding a conversation, you'll be ready for the next level. Now, instead of a squat position for the rope climbs, I'm going to go more into a row position. So I'm going to lean back, open the hip first. Now I've got more weight into my upper body, all the way up. Same thing at the top, if it feels okay, pull yourself up, back down, lean in, backwards. There, back up, opposite hand at the top, pull yourself up. Back down, open hip. Next for the pike push-up, I'm going to raise the feet and also raise the hands. Now, obviously, you've got some progressions in terms of the height or the amount you raise the hands, and the same for the feet. But exactly the same setup. Open the shoulders forwards, elbows in, create the triangle, head touches, back, open the shoulders at the top. 3 minimum before you go up to that next progression. Now with the rope climbs, I'm going to start laying down, try and pick the body up fully straight or as best I can. Pull at the top, same thing, straight body on the way down. This is really working my grip. I'm not conditioned to this. I'm going to have sore hands. So ideally that should be a little bit straighter. I'm struggling with that grip. Pike push-up, I've gone to a single step at the back, still got the deficit hands, but you could have hands on the floor, sort of like an in-between. I'm going to take this leg up in the air. Now the goal here is to have this leg as best as possible in line with the torso, so we're mimicking the pathway of the actual handstand push-up as best we can. So I'm going to do 2 reps, so touch the floor, come back open, 1, 2, and then I'm going to swap legs. Same thing on the other side, 1, 2, that's getting harder. Next progression for the rope climbs, I'm going to specifically work on the rope pull. So I'm not actually going to climb up the rope. I'm just going to have first my hands together. So when the hands are together like that, I can go into a hanging position, chest to the bottom hand, back down, swap over, do exactly the same thing. Then if that feels okay to make this harder, all you do is separate the hands. So if I go back with the left hand on top, Now I have a hand space between them, but I'm going to try and pull up as close as I can to the top hand. And you're going to find this is much harder than having them together. So there, swap over, same thing, there. And you could just keep continuing down. I don't have much pulling power. I can't demo much more than that, but that gets very hard quickly. If you've been watching my videos for a while, you'll know that I'm much stronger in the pushing movements than I am in the pulling movements. Okay, now a bit of a step up in terms of the technique or the intensity or the challenge of the handstand push-up is we're gonna go chest to wall now. Just make sure that you've got enough space to play with. I'm a little bit confined here because I have this wall, but I'm pretty comfortable in this chest to wall handstand position. If you're not, make sure you have a good exit strategy because you don't want to get stuck when you're upside down with your arms bent. So I'm going to step into this position. I'm going to walk in close-ish to the wall, external rotation with the hands, make the body one piece. And then from there, I'm going to take the shoulders forwards, create the triangle, head comes down towards the floor. Now once I touch here, I could get out of this position, that would be an eccentric, or ideally, I'm going to walk back up the wall to my start position, make sure I've got that good position again, and then I can do another repetition, slow down, create the triangle, and I could walk back up or exit out like that. So I left enough space to allow myself to walk down with control. Now, it's also easier to walk down with control if I leave lots of weight in the hands and don't put lots of weight in the head. And that technique is also going to carry over to the more advanced handstand push-up exercises. We want all the weight into the hands, the shoulders, and the arms, and not all the weight in the head. Now with the rope climbs, ideally, you're going to have enough straddle flexibility so you can sit down in this position, hold onto the rope. If you don't have enough flexibility to sit in this position, we can just raise the hips up. So I can do exactly the same thing and be in this position. And then I'm just going to have hands closest together so I don't make it too hard. And then I'm going to pull from here, see if I can get up to the hands and back down again. Now, because I swung forwards, I missed my target on the way back down. So if you are using this to sit on, make sure you're pulling directly up from where you're seated and not away from where you're seated because you'll swing forwards, which is fun, but could be painful. So ideally, sitting on the floor, exactly the same thing, arms stretched up, and then just gonna pull up as high as you can and back down again. Swap hands, same thing. Next progression for the handstand push-up is going to try and be like the freestanding handstand push-up, but I'm going to have a light toe assist, but when I'm back to wall. So this is a bit tricky to get the line correct. So what I mean by that is I'm going to set up 2 or 3 hand spaces away. I've got that external rotation, kick up to the wall, but I'm going to bend this leg. So I'm looking at the focus as being on that straight leg through the torso to the head to the shoulders. And then when I come down, that's the line that mimics the handstand push-up. Create that triangle again, then I push back up, open the shoulders at the top. Same thing, come down, back again. So this foot against the wall is just giving me a little bit of assistance to get through that range of motion of the full handstand push-up. Again, I could do an eccentric and only take the head to the floor and come back out, but ideally I'm going to push back up. Okay, then I'm going to progress the rope climbs to a full rope climb. Now, if you have a higher rope or you don't want to work the straddle, you could do it from a standing position. But I'm a big fan of holding this straddle position because it carries over to so many other calisthenics and it really just isolates the upper body strength. Saying that, this is like my 1 rep max for me. I'm not sure I'm even going to get to the top, but let's see what happens. It's definitely not going to look pretty. Okay, we made it. I'm only going to get 1 rep. And like I say, it wasn't pretty, but now I've got a rope up in the garage. There's no excuses. It should get better from here. And then when it comes to the handstand push-up, obviously the goal is that freestanding version. We have 2 options here. We have a really slow eccentric, working on that perfect pathway. So that's why the eccentric is so good. We get time under tension throughout the full pathway. No drop in, perfect technique. We don't have to worry about the strength of coming back up. So there. And then I can take the head and shoulders forwards, arms bend, feet come back, all the way down until my head just kisses the floor. Ideally pause, come back out. But if you have a little bit more juice in the tank, exactly the same thing. Oh dear, what is that? Okay, ignore that bit. From here, head and shoulders forwards, feet back, head touches, hold, reverse the direction back up, find the balance at the top, show control and hold there. So that's the goal. There's obviously more exercises that you could use in between. You could go partial range, where we take the head down to a target and back up, and that's the same for any of the progressions, whether they're against the wall, whether they're freestanding. We just have a target that we come down to, make the triangle exactly the same, but you find the target and then come back up to the top. That's a really good one, but if you are doing the partial range, I recommend you doing eccentrics as well. I'm a big fan of using the frog or the crow to handstand variations, whether you use speed like that and using momentum to get you up, whether you use back to wall or chest to wall. There's lots of different options. Just use the best one that fits your current level and ability. If you don't have a rope, you can obviously use a pull-up bar, a chin-up bar, do chin-ups instead of rope climbs, ring rows, ring pull-ups, lots of different variations again. But bent arm pushing, bent arm pulling go really well together. If you have to help with your training, check out my app and my website. Links are down in the description. If you have any requests for videos or any feedback, stick it down in the comments below or send me a message. Thumbs up and subscribe will be appreciated, and I'll speak to you in the next one. Cheers, guys.